You're listening to the Life with Old Dogs podcast, and I'm your host, Dawn Mimnaugh, primary caretaker of all of our wonderful senior German Shepherds right here at Woody's Place Senior German Shepherd Sanctuary. Hey there, folks, and welcome back. Last week, we left off our Origins season podcast episode with the passing of Woody. Last week was Woody's story. So we ended with the passing of Woody and, you know, me just being left with a lot of feelings about him passing, the fact that I wasn't happy at all with the previous German Shepherd rescue group that I had been a part of for 6 years. Their philosophy just wasn't the same as mine. I had a different idea on what I wanted to do to help German Shepherds. I wanted to focus primarily on senior German Shepherds because it had been brought to my attention several times over that there was more value in helping younger German Shepherds as opposed to German Shepherds who were, past their prime and not quite as vibrant as they used to be. And I get it. There's only so much space available for abandoned animals in need. So, let's help the younger ones because they have their lives ahead of them, where the older animals, they've lived their lives. So, unfortunately, there's just not enough room to go around. So it just kind of makes sense to not put our resources into them. But I just couldn't, I just couldn't stomach that. I believe we should help all animals of all ages. And I saw the need to assist, older German Shepherds. I wanted to assist German Shepherds, and I definitely wanted to assist older German Shepherds. So again, as I was ending the last episode, I was, sitting there, excuse me, sitting there at my desk, just with tear-stained cheeks, because I was just so beside myself that Woody was gone and that his life ended because of degenerative myelopathy. That I had to put something together. I just didn't know what it was going to be. And, I knew it was going to be senior German Shepherd. So I thought, okay, it's senior German Shepherd what? And I thought, well, this was Woody's place. This is where Woody lived. And I want to serve dogs, senior German Shepherds like Woody. So how about Woody's Place, Senior German Shepherd Sanctuary? Yep, that sounded great. I really didn't give it any other thought. And then it's like, okay, well, now what do I do? I have the name, I have, the mission, hashed out. I wasn't like completely sure how things were going to be run, but I had a general idea of what was going to happen. So, I knew that I wanted it to be official. I didn't want it to be, something that people were just going to scoff at, like, oh yeah, she's just gone through a phase. She'll get over Woody's passing and then she'll just get on, to life as usual, because I knew my life was never going to be the same after Woody being such an integral part of my life. He truly did change the trajectory of my life. So it was never going to be the same as it was prior to him walking into my home and into my heart. So I had no clue. I had no clue as to what it was that I was doing, how to form a rescue, how to put together a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Where was I going to find insurance? What kind of insurance was I going to need? How was I going to find donors? How was I going to get volunteers? I had no clue whatsoever, but I had ambition and faith and determination. And I'm not afraid to fail as long as I know I'm failing forward. I don't worry about people sitting there going, "Oh yeah, look at her. She has no clue what she's doing. She sounds like a fool, a bumbling idiot, whatever." It doesn't matter to me. People can say whatever they want about me, because my heart is in the right place, and I am actively doing something to make sure that as many senior German Shepherds that need a place to call home can call Woody's Place a home as possible, and that's it. So doesn't matter if I'm not a perfectionist. I'm not striving for perfection. I'm striving to help these senior German Shepherds in need. And so if it doesn't look pretty, it doesn't look pretty. As long as I'm the mission is being achieved, that's all that matters to me. So I had no idea what I was doing. I was not going to approach the rescue that I was with to ask for assistance because I really didn't care for their structure, and they had some trouble retaining decent volunteers who actively participated. So something wasn't right there, and I just knew I wasn't going to use their format to form Woody's Place. Plus, they were a rescue, and I wanted to be a true sanctuary where, these senior German Shepherds in need came to us and they stayed for the remainder of their lives. Our catchphrase now is, "We are that place in the country where old dogs come to retire." Back then, I didn't have the words for that. And one day it just kind of came to me after hearing numerous times over the last decade plus, "Oh, you're like a nursing home or a retirement home for senior German Shepherds." And it's like, yes, we are. That's exactly what we are. Do you adopt them out? No, we don't. We used to, but it didn't sit well with me. That wasn't really what I wanted to do. Although in our earlier days, I did have some other volunteers and board members try to push me in that direction. That was not the mission for Woody's Place. And it took me a while to stand my ground and finally say, no, that's not what I want to do. That was not ever the mission for Woody's Place. It was to provide lifelong care for abandoned senior German Shepherds in need, regardless of whether they had degenerative myelopathy or not, just like Woody. So that was it. So I started kind of reaching out to other rescues and sanctuaries at the time. Even if the sanctuaries weren't dog related, they could have been like barn animal related, just to try to figure out their format, how they become an organization, how they fundraised, how they ran their program, how they got volunteers, sponsors, all that good stuff. And then I came across Best Friends Sanctuary, which back in 2011, they were young. They were a young organization then, but they still did have really good resources about how to become a sanctuary. So I pretty much followed along with their format. I had to adjust some things. Obviously, they're out in Utah and we're in Pennsylvania, so we have our own state regulations here that are different than theirs out there. So I did contact the Department of the State to find out what it was that we needed to do to become legitimate, an official 501c3. I did hire an attorney, and all of this cost money, which I did get some donations, but most of it was out of pocket, my own pocket. So, I get asked often, well, how do you get started? Well, I hate to tell you this, but you need money. You do need money to get started, to make it official. You can't go into, a rescue or sanctuary living and not have money, your own money to dump into it. Sanctuaries don't run on love alone. You need to make sure that you're legal, you're legit, you have the proper insurance, and you have the funding to run the sanctuary. So, I provided the sanctuary money for, I don't know, easily the first 5 years. And this past year with COVID in place, I actually went and got a second job to make sure that the sanctuary didn't go under, because obviously it was tough times for everyone. And I wanted to make sure that Woody's Place was fine. So you have to be willing to do that. You have to. And if you're not, then just don't get into sanctuary and rescue altogether. If you're not willing to reach into your own pocket from time to time. So I had Best Friends Sanctuary point me in the direction that I needed to go. I did, get an attorney who helped us with all the legalities of our articles of incorporation, becoming a nonprofit organization, a 501c3 nonprofit organization, our bylaws, filing with the state, our taxes, all that good stuff. And that you absolutely has to be kept up on every single year. You can't, that's another thing. You can't run a sanctuary. It's a business. It really is. And you can't run a sanctuary and not be paying taxes, or at least filing your taxes. You can't run a sanctuary rescue and not have insurance. God forbid somebody get hurt. You need to make sure that you're protected. You need to become an incorporation, or at the very least an LLC, to make sure you're personally protected. There is a whole lot that I knew nothing about. I jumped out of a plane and I was building my parachute on the way down. That's what I was doing before I crashed and hit the ground. And fortunately, I was able to figure it out. And over the last decade plus, we've actually had other organizations approach us, wanting to see our bylaws, asking if they could borrow from our bylaws, and to help them get started, asking us, how do you get started? How did you get started? And I'm always willing to share that information with anybody I can, because the more people who are willing to start a sanctuary or rescue, the better it is for all of these animals in need, whether they be seniors or not, dogs, cats, goats, whatever. The more people who are willing to help provide homeless animals shelter, that's great for everybody. So to me, it's a giant team effort, and I'm more than willing to help other rescues get started, and we have. So it took some time to become official, to collect the money, to collect all the information, to become official. When you file for certain things, especially with the state, nothing happens right away. You end up waiting a month, two, maybe more, until you're finally official. And then you have to start to network, with other rescues, with animal shelters. You have to really get out there and start pounding the payment, letting other shelters and rescues know who you are and what you're about, and letting them know if they need any assistance, that with a senior German Shepherd, that you can help. And so basically it was build it and they will come. And before we were ever even official, we had our first dogs from local shelters. There were owner surrenders, and there are other other organizations that do not take owner surrenders. They don't want to, they wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole. We do. We don't have an issue with that. So we've had quite a few owner surrenders over the years, where people have literally just brought their senior German Shepherds right to us for one reason or another, which can be kind of hard, because some of the reasons are really crappy. Like, here's my old German Shepherd. We got a new German Shepherd, and he's a young German Shepherd, and he beats up our old German Shepherd. So we're getting rid of her, and we're going to keep the younger German Shepherd. And that's a true story right there. a true story. So, you have to remain professional. You can't just say whatever you want. And, you can say whatever you want the second you collect the dog and you shut the door. Then you can say whatever you want. But to their face, you just keep your opinion to yourself. I do anyway. And I collect the dog and I let that dog know, that senior German Shepherd know, that their life is never, ever going to be like it was with those people. And it's going to be nothing but great stuff for them from here on out. So, that's how I handle it. So anyway, yep, build it and they will come. And they did. And they kept coming and they kept coming and they kept coming. The only thing that wasn't happening again in the beginning was significant donations, and volunteerism was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. We were even further up north in Pennsylvania here. We're in the Poconos. We do live in a rural area, but that's changing significantly, especially because of COVID. There is a large influx of people from, the cities now, Philadelphia, New York, New Jersey, that have moved in and live here full time and are looking for volunteer opportunities. But back when we got started, not the case at all. We were in a very rural area, and not a whole lot of people looking for volunteer opportunities at all. So that really hurt us, being so isolated. And there were lots of times I just thought, I'm going to throw in the towel. This isn't working for me. I'm doing it all myself. I can't. It's just too much. And I've learned over the years that I say I can't. It's too much. And I break down and cry. I don't know how many times. And my family and friends will attest to this, that I just don't know how many times I say, I can't do this anymore. It's too much. And I still do. So, that's just me being a whiny crybaby. So then, you have to find volunteers. Really, it's something that, Sanctuary Life is not something that you can do yourself. You really need to build a team around you. So where was I going to find this team? It was just hard. Basically, I recruited family, and then I did have a couple of board members and volunteers that really didn't work out in the beginning. I had some board members that, didn't even live in the state. They lived elsewhere and in other states, and that was just stupid on my part. Your board members have to be local. They have to be where you are at the sanctuary. And if they're not, it just can't happen. It's not going to work. Then moving forward, it was like, okay, great. Now I have other board members, but I came across interesting people with like very different or strong personalities. And some people really, really wanted to just run the show. Everybody brings something to the table. There's no doubt about it. Good, bad, different. And I look at it as a total learning experience. You can learn something from anyone, from everyone, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent. So it really took a lot of trial and error, finding the right people to be on the board and the right volunteers to make Sanctuary Life click. And fortunately, we're there, finally. COVID hurt us again with volunteerism. It was at an all-time low again, but let's face it, we weren't around each other. So that really put a crimp in things. But we're definitely getting back there again, and things are looking up. We have some of the same volunteers that we've had for years, some of the same board members that we had for years. And I'd like to keep the board small now. Before it was like, so many board members, and now it's just small. Now, keeping it small, and we're all on the same page, and we can all talk about things, right at the time that we're having a board meeting, and know where we stand, as opposed to before. It was kind of hard because we would have board meetings and some people were afraid to speak up, and then they wouldn't speak up until after the meeting, and then they'd send a slew of messages, emails that went totally against what was being said in the board meeting. So that was hard, and I don't ever want to be there again. So to me, again, Sanctuary Life, Woody's Place, is about the dogs and not about drama or, crosstalk or someone trying to run the show instead of being a team player. So I don't do that anymore. I just keep it small and know that the people who are on the board are on the same page and, understand the mission. So that's really important. So these were things that I've learned over the years. It didn't happen overnight. You can listen to so many different people and get so many different ideas about how to run a sanctuary, how to do things, how to have this nonprofit organization, how to fundraise, how to get sponsors and donors and all this other stuff. But the truth is, you really don't learn until you get out there and do it and get some experience. And that was really the key right there for me. And also at the end of the day, another thing that I think is absolutely paramount is you gotta love what you're doing. I mean, you really have to love it. It's gotta be a pull, not a push. And I am definitely. It is definitely a lifestyle for me, Woody's Place Senior German Shepherd Sanctuary, and caring for these German Shepherds. As I'm sitting here right now, I'm surrounded by them. They're all here, all around me in my Florida room, and they're just chilling out in the air conditioning. And I can't imagine looking around a room that I'm sitting in and not having these precious souls with me. And again, it's been a decade plus for Woody's Place. And although I do get tired and I do get beat down sometimes, I keep coming back because it pulls me back. It doesn't push me. It pulls me in. And that's exactly where I want to be. So, in the beginning, I wasn't sure how it was going to be. I thought, this is either going to be, a lifetime for me, or this is going to be something I'm going to call quits after the first 9 months because I just don't know if I'm going to being able to do it. Sorry. But just seeing these dogs again, seeing them on the internet, getting phone calls about them, and picturing them in dire straits, just desperate for somewhere to call home. I just can't live with myself knowing that these dogs are out there and they need somewhere to go to call home. So that was something that I had to learn to balance for sanctuary life. Like I in the beginning, of course, it was like just, oh, take this dog, take that dog, take them all, right? Because they all need somewhere to go. But at the end of the day, I was miserable. I was really miserable then. And I thought to myself, no. If I'm going to do this, there has to be a limit. I have to learn to say no. There's only so many funds to go around. I'm not going to take a second mortgage out of my home to make this happen. I have to learn how to be smart with finances. I have to be frugal. I have to learn to ask for donations. There's no being shy in sanctuary life. Like you have to learn to ask and to know, well, this isn't for me. This is for these dogs. So if you believe in my mission, please help me help these dogs. And I've gotten really good at that over the years. Before I wasn't. So yeah, definitely setting boundaries. I learned to set boundaries and say, okay, I can help this many dogs and I can't take any more. And the ones that I can't take, I can try to help find an approved adopter. But I personally can't take any more because I promised these dogs in my care that I will provide them with the best life I can possibly provide them with. So if I have 6 in my care and I'm providing them with the best care, the best food, all the comforts they need, well, I can't take 2 more dogs because then it's going to infringe upon the care that I've already promised these 6 dogs in my care that I was going to give them. So it took me a while to learn to say no and know my boundaries. But once I did, and now that I have, I feel a whole lot better about the situation. And, if we have a dog in our care for 5 days, before the dog passes, then it's the best 5 days that we're going to give that dog. If we have a dog in our care for 5 years, then that dog's going to get the best care that we can possibly give that dog for 5 years. That's the promise that we make these senior German Shepherds. So it is definitely a balancing act. I truly love Sanctuary Life. You know, here we are now, a decade plus later, and we're still doing it. When I say we, because I do say we a lot, it is truly myself doing most of Sanctuary Life. But make no mistake about it, I do have volunteers that contribute. And my husband, and his name is Ken, and I often refer to him as Mr. Woody's Place. I definitely don't think I could be doing this without him. He is the most tolerant man I've ever met. I mean, no questions asked. Sometimes he might get a little irritated with me, with Sanctuary Life, but not really. He is extremely compassionate to all the animals that are here. And again, we do have cats as well that are rescues and feral cat colonies that we take care of. And then I even have my own army of chickens outside. And I mean army, I'm so embarrassed. I don't even know how many I have, but there's a slew of them outside. I did incubate some recently, but then I have broody hens that just keep reproducing as well. And then I have little Nigerian dwarf goats on top of that. So my husband is the most tolerant man. He really is. And I'm very, very grateful. I'm also very grateful for the fact that he also contributes financially to Woody's Place. And when we were in the early days of Woody's Place, and I was basically taking all of my money and putting it into Woody's Place, he never said a word. Not like, well, aren't you going to help with the electric bill this month? Aren't you going to buy food this week? Not once did he say anything. He gave me total free reign to go ahead and form Woody's Place and just do whatever it took to get Woody's Place up and running, because, you know, he had a love for Woody too. And he saw the progression that Woody made from the day he walked into our house to becoming a part of our family to then finally succumbing to degenerative myelopathy. I mean, he was just as upset and thought that it was a bunch of crap that, you know, nobody was jumping to help older German Shepherds either. So he was behind me. And then there's my family. My family, they've helped out at really big events that we've had. Canines in the Country is a pretty big event. We are having it this year, I'm happy to say. And it's a day for dogs and their people, and we have vendors and other rescues and demonstrations and all kinds of stuff. So we'll talk more about that later. But my entire family, like siblings, parents, nieces, nephews, they come and they help out. Friends of mine, lifelong friends of mine will come, no questions asked. I just have to give them a Woody's Place t-shirt and they come and they help out. They've contributed financially. They've come and helped with the dogs. My children are all adults. Even my grandchildren, one of them, Owen, you've probably seen him in videos here. He's old enough too, to help. And they've all pitched in over the years to help with Woody's Place. They all come to my house, and not a one of them bat an eyelash at all these dogs here. The dogs are great with people. All the dogs we've ever had have been fantastic with people. I have a large family, so they come in, they come out. These dogs are just part of the family. Picnics, birthdays. I mean, Woody's Place never stops, and these dogs are always a part of it. So it's really great to have family support, and friends who support the organization as well. And I feel blessed. I feel truly blessed. So that is about it. And this is going to be the last episode for the Origins season. This is not a 6-week season. This is really just an introductory season to let you know how and why Woody's Place came about. And I'm not like a super, super religious person, but I do believe in God. And I do believe we were put here on earth for a reason. And I do believe that that reason is to help one another and to be kind to one another and to help each other through this life. And I just feel, because I don't really have any other explanation for it. I just feel that there is a higher power, a God, and he put me here on this earth to do Woody's Place Senior German Shepherd Sanctuary. Like, this is my mission. This is why I'm here. I am here to help these older German Shepherds who don't have anywhere to call home and provide them with a home for the remainder of their lives. I truly believe they're angels in furry coats. I've said this I don't know how many times. It's like, I swear they're angels in furry coats, and God put them here on this earth to test us as who we are as people. So hopefully I'll pass the test, honestly. But when I get to the point where I am just completely beat down and weary, and again, I have no explanation for this, or when funds are almost dried up and I just don't know where the next dollar is going to come from, as God is my witness, something happens. Either someone steps in and is like, hey, I just thought maybe you might need some help with the dogs. Do you need any help with the dogs? It's like, oh my gosh, it's like you were just picking my brain, because I was just thinking, I can't even get out of bed today. I don't know where I'm going to get the energy from to pull myself together to take care of all these dogs. And here's this angel just shows up and says, yeah, hey, I just thought you might need some help. And here you are. Or when the money's about ready to, like I said, just dry up and I'm going to be in the negative, in the bank account, all of a sudden, here comes a donation from someone, probably one of you wonderful people that is listening to this podcast right now, that said, with a letter that said, I just, want you to be able to buy some food for the dogs, or here's some money in case you need some funds for medical expenses, or to have, to buy a new bed or something along those lines. So I truly believe that there is something in the works here that has put me on this path and make sure that we have what it takes to take care of these dogs. And I know that might sound goofy to some people, but I truly believe it. And on that note, I just wanted to say, Sanctuary Life is a blessing. And so are all the people who have helped me help these dogs, whether it be through physical efforts, financial contribution, emotional support, whatever, a transportation of a dog, whatever. I am just so, so blessed and forever grateful to everyone and anyone who has helped Woody's Place become what it is today. And we're still growing. We're absolutely still growing. I have ideas in mind of where I'd like to take Woody's Place in the next, 2 to 5 years. I'd love to be able to make it bigger and to be able to help more German Shepherds, senior German Shepherds in need. So, anyway, again, that is the end of the origin season. Now moving forward, next season, we're going to start talking about sanctuary life in the sense of, okay, well, where do these dogs come from? How do we select the dogs that are coming to the sanctuary? How do they get to the sanctuary? How do we care for the senior German Shepherds when they're here at the sanctuary? So we're going to talk about things like that next season. I am going to be taking a 2-week break to put those episodes together, and then we will be back. So until then, be well.